what is it really like living and cruising on a Cutwater 288 command bridge for several days? Well, luckily, I've been doing just that. I've been aboard this boat for 7 days. Myself and my 12-year-old son, we're in the Florida Keys exploring, having a blast, just enjoying ourselves, and we've learned a lot about the boat. I'm gonna share those things with you guys about how it feels to actually live on the boat, what it's like to be in the galley, in the head, in the cabins, out here on the cockpit, up on the FLYBRIDGE, back on the swim platform, storage, how the boat runs, how it feels. Just gonna give you a quick overview of everything so you'll be a little more informed on this boat. I'm gonna start in the cabin, in the salon, the main area we've been hanging out for this week. But first I'm gonna close this back door because we do have the air conditioner running. And I guess I'll start with that. That's a very big convenience when you're down here in the Florida Keys and it's so warm. And there's no generator running. There's no generator on this boat. That's because we have 900 amp hours of lithium battery power, and the outboards have high output alternators, or there's also, of course, battery chargers on board. So if you're at a marina like we've spent a couple nights at, your battery's gonna be fully charged in there. You've got to appreciate modern technology and Bluetooth these days, because with an app on my phone, I'm able to see exactly how much battery I have, how much I'm using, how much charge I'm gaining, whether it be from the shore power or from the outboards. Right now, we're sitting at 49% battery. I had the engines running a little bit today to kind of top off those batteries, but when I shut down yesterday, cranked on the air conditioner last night, when I woke up this morning, we were at 50% battery. So that is pretty good, and we were nice and cool all night long. Just like a lot of boats these days, there's full 360 degrees of window on this boat, so you can see our surroundings really well. Wherever the sunset is, you're not gonna miss it, and plenty of natural light being let into the cabin. Now just behind me on the starboard side is the galley. We didn't really do a lot of cooking here. We didn't use the stove. We did use the microwave one time to heat up some taco meat, but most of our cooking was done on the grill out on the swim platform at the transom. Fantastic spot for it. There is a decent amount of counter space here, but a lot of it is taken up by this, looks like a propane stove. We didn't use that. I think I may prefer this boat with just a induction cooktop. That way this is also usable counter space when you're not using this stove. But the sink is nice and deep. We certainly utilize that. And there's also some fiddle rails behind the countertop to hold your items. We have water bottles, a spray bottle, paper towels. And you also have USBs, outlets back here, and controls, and a gauge for the water pump. Just up under the galley, you do have 4 drawers for storage, and we have these full of snacks and all the things that we're grabbing and going throughout the day. And then just under the helm seat is a refrigerator. It's full of good stuff, and it's a pretty good sized fridge. We never had any problem stuffing everything we needed in there, and it'll get really cold. It'll freeze some water bottles if you have it cranked all the way up, so we had to turn it down. We're on setting 2 out of 7 right now, so this thing will certainly get cold. And just across from the port side is the dinette table. It is leafed, and there are 2 cup holders underneath here, so if we're running the boat, I'll have this flipped up most of the time, and we use this as cup holders for drinks or just small items. But if we're, say, playing spades or having dinner, we'll open that up. We have plenty of room for the 2 of us. You could probably, I think you could fit 4 adults in here pretty easily, especially 2 adults and 2 children without a problem. And you can see this is 2 steps up from the cabin sole, so we really have an elevated position in here that just lets you see all around on the beautiful water. Right now we're anchored in some very clear water in the Florida Keys, and this forwardmost seat can be flipped to forward facing. This is where Tucker spent a lot of time as we were cruising along. Just sitting right here, had his drink or his Lay's chips here as we were just putting along. Maybe it was raining, bad weather, but we were in here protected. Just a really good spot to run and make those miles. So we did come all the way down south from Jensen Beach, Stuart, Florida. So we really got a good feel for it. There's also windows either side that slide open. So if you don't have the air conditioner running, you get a lot of ventilation throughout the boat. And that coupled with the back door open and locked open, you have pretty good breeze through here. But if you're at anchor, you can open hatches on the bow, open these windows, open the door, and open the back window just behind me, behind that rear seat at the dinette, and you have just a really open boat, so a lot of air can blow through it. And of course up on the dash, we have this sea deck type material. We have a lot of things just kind of sitting here. Most of it though is at the dashboard of the helm. I've got my binoculars, which I use frequently while underway, and cameras, and I'd usually have my cell phone sitting here. It actually rode pretty well. You can see this hazy glass that is letting natural light down to the head, which I'll show you in just a little bit. For me, it was a really comfortable boat to run. I'm sitting up here in the helm seat, which is sturdy. I have armrests. I like seeing that. I have footrest down below, and I can even flip a second one down. And Tucker even enjoyed sitting up here. Sometimes I'd get him to drive a little bit, and we would flip the bolster up, and he'd have an elevated position to sit, and he could still see well. And the dash is well laid out. Right now there's a single, probably a 12-inch Garmin screen, Yamaha screen center line, and then controls for the autopilot. Then you have this empty space over here, so maybe if you like to run with a tablet, you can mount a tablet there, or if you just want to opt for another Garmin screen, that's what I would go with personally, because I'd see more engine data and just more things that I like to see while I'm underway. And then we have all of the switches just underneath those. They're really easy to see, really easy to use. Tucker understood what they were, and I was like, hey man, go turn on this or this or this, no problem. Then the VHF radio right underneath. There was a remote for the windlass, but I never used the remote because I do have controls right here at the helm, but also more controls up at the bow. There's an air conditioner vent right here that blows right on the driver, fantastic, and another just up here on the dash to give a little bit more airflow. There's also a thruster control right in front of the throttles, so I would use that when we were docking, but I would also split the stick because the boat's powered by two 250 Yamahas. So when we were docking, that's how I would do it. I would mostly just split the sticks, maybe hit the thruster every once in a while. But then just back from the throttles, you have the joystick. I haven't even used the joystick yet. I tend to stay away from the joystick just because they don't react how I expect them to react a lot of times, and I just have a lot better control with the throttles and the thruster. There's also the controls to the trim tabs right here, and I would find myself using these a fair bit when I was in rougher water, and especially if I was changing directions in the ICW, maybe coming down the back side or the north side of the Florida Keys and getting in different wind directions. I'd be leveling the boat out fairly regularly, but that was easy to do. I did find that quick touches work better than long presses, so all boats react a little bit differently, but once I got it, now if we're cruising, I can handle it no problem. And there are two cup holders right here as well. I suppose we could also talk a little bit about boat handling in rough weather. The boat did fine. I think we were out in probably 2 foot, maybe 3 foot following and beam seas, and the boat did fantastic. It was fine, didn't have any issues. We did have a little bit of spray coming up, which is a normal thing, but a fun thing, even when we were up on the FLYBRIDGE. I did have the boat in a few tight maneuvering situations. I backed into a slip one time. I came into one slip regularly, of course disembarked the slips, then pulled up to fuel docks, and everything was fine. The boat's a dream to handle, pretty simple. And with this window being right here, with it open, also have a midship cleat right here, so I can have my bow line to the window, my midship line to the window, and my stern line to the window, so it's easy if I have a dock hand to handle the lines and just be quick. Maybe you're running the boat by yourself or with your kids who may not be, certainly adept, or your significant other may not be certainly adept to handling lines and pulling up to a dock. If I just come up alongside a dock, I can put my midship line on the dock and keep my boat pretty safe, at least long enough for me to hop off, grab another line, and get the boat secured. Coming out into the forward cabin where I was sleeping, you have 3 steps down, a bit of storage. I've got a milk crate tucked in right here, roll of paper towels under the top step. Just underneath here is a bit of storage. You have 2 shelves. I've got a dry box in there, and I have 2 large packing cubes. Plenty of room for all that, for all my clothes and more. If it was my wife and I, we should have enough room, especially if we took advantage of this hanging rod above, which I didn't bring any hangers. I should have. That would have been a great spot for things. And then down below, I've got my bag with a few odds and ends and a few of my other smaller bags down here. There's also a 110 outlet. And we keep continuing around, you have a shelf all the way around the V-berth. Right now I just have my blankets and pillow up here. I'm charging some things right over here with this USB. There's also reading lights around. There are 3 in the cabin. I'll come up on the berth here. You can see overhead there are 2 more lights. Those are controlled by the switch that's just as you come down the steps. Then I have 2 large hatches. So one night, or actually I think it was 2 nights, maybe we spent without air conditioner at anchor just to see what it was like, and I had those popped open and I had a pretty good breeze down in here. And you can see there's a decent amount of room in this berth. So so I can kind of spread out. I think if it was 2 people, I'd probably go heads aft, feet forward, and you really have a lot of room. I'm about 5'8", and I can easily lay all the way across. If I put my feet at one end, I can just barely touch the other side. So quite a bit of room down here. And this actually does something else that I haven't done yet. Let's see about converting this space. Oh, this pedestal, okay. Well, I may not convert it all the way because this is a brand new boat, only a few hours on it when I picked it up. And I'm very grateful for Cutwater to letting me use this boat. And the pedestal is still wrapped in plastic, brand new, so I'm not gonna utilize it. But essentially, the pedestal will hold this table up in place right here. So you have like a second little private office or dining space down here. And maybe if you wanna get out of the sun, because there is a lot of windows up there, you can come down here. Or if you just want a separate place to get away from the kids or get away from your partner, this would be fantastic for that. And I guess now's a good time to show you there's some decent storage under these as well. Let's see what we got over on the starboard side. Yeah, a bunch of covers. You can see a lot of them are still brand new in the package. And then over on the port side, I've got some life jackets. Oh look, there's the pedestal right down there. Maybe it's not still wrapped in the plastic, but I think you get the idea on how that table sets up. These forward cushions, I haven't looked under them yet. Let's take a peek. I know the bow thruster, oh wow. So quite a bit more storage under here, and it's really clean. Bow thruster down there as well. So if you need some more storage space, it's there. I didn't realize that. That's pretty good. If you want a little privacy in the forward cabin, you have 2 different options. This one curtain will slide all the way across and give privacy for the berth, or you have this door here, which unsnaps. Snaps into place, and you have the cover over top, which will close this entirely. You also have your own air handler down here, so you can control the climate however you want to sleep comfortably. Over on the starboard side, just forward of the helm, is the head. It is a wet head, but it has a fair amount of room in here. You can close the door, and then if you want to take a shower, you can take this curtain and extend it around. It's going to protect the countertop and the toilet and stuff like that to keep everything dry. And they do have a shower wand here, which mounts right up here. I will say the pressure is not the greatest, but the hot water heater certainly works. It gets very hot, and it's located back in mechanical space in the cockpit. I'll show you that later. Then, of course, you have the nice little vessel sink, bit of storage underneath, and then another railing and shelf up here to keep your small items. Overall, though, it's been fine using this head. I mean, it's a wet head on a 28-foot boat. You're not gonna be bragging about it, but it works. It does the job. And then just up under the dinette would be the mid-berth. This is where Tucker's been spending his time sleeping. I think he slept pretty well. How about it, Tucker? You slept all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part. But I'm gonna actually climb down in here to get a real feel for it. Oh, I've already been in here one time when we first got here. As for length, you probably have almost, I don't know, 6 foot of headroom. My feet are against the bottom here. Width, probably 4 foot or almost 4 foot. I can't quite bend my knees. So this really is just a berth meant for children, or just a great storage space on the boat. Of course, you can convert the dinette just above me into a berth itself. So if you really need to sleep a lot of people, you can. But if you have 4 adults aboard, that's gonna be tight quarters if you're sleeping. But just along this aft bulkhead here, this is your main electrical panel and access point. Of course, you can get easier access to this as this seat that you're attached to actually lifts up. But down here I have controls for all of the batteries, your house inverter battery. I have the digital readout for all the electrical components, the batteries and things like that, the air conditioner handler for the main salon, then your main AC panel and your shore power connection. Oh, I forgot, there's also a light down here and 2 small portholes just behind me. Something else I want to touch on before we head outside of the cabin is just the overall feel of the space in here. This boat has a 10-foot beam, which is a pretty generous amount of beam. The cabin height is pretty high, so you really feel like you're in a big space. Not only that, if you're in here with multiple people, like we have been, and you're moving around, this walkway between the galley and the dinette is fairly wide. You're not having to ask someone to sit down before you pass by, or if someone's working here in the galley, you can still get by or in and out of the helm seat, because on some boats, it gets a little tight. But this boat, you have enough room where 2 adults would be wonderfully comfortable on this boat. I think 2 adults and 2 children would probably be the max that I'd want to put on here for an extended period. Now, if it's a day, yeah, sure, 6, 7, maybe even 8 people on the boat, you're gonna have a great time. But if you're spending 6, 7 days like we are on the boat, that can get a little crowded quick. Now let's head outside of the exterior of the boat. Before we do that, let's put on a hat because the sun is glaring in the Florida Keys on this June. It's midday, so it's 12 o'clock. It's hot. First up, we'll start in the cockpit. A lot of room back here. I don't have a tape measure with me to tell you exactly how big it is, but I mean, you have quite a bit of space. So if you're entertaining a larger group of people, you can do that here. But there is some seating that's cleverly tucked away on the boat. There's one right here on the transom. This flips up. So now you have forward-facing seating, but it can also be converted to be aft-facing. And Tucker and I tried this out yesterday because it's just the two of us. We haven't been lounging back here much. We've been doing activities, but it's pretty comfortable back here, forward or rear-facing. There's also another small seat over here. But like I said, if you have a lot of people on the boat, that's gonna come in handy, and you're not gonna be having to haul chairs and tuck them away in some storage spaces to take up some of that precious space where you could have something like an inflatable paddleboard or something on board. I'll show you a little bit about how this seating converts, flips out. You have some seating right here, but I think what's even more cool is this seat right here, although I've kept it closed to keep that air conditioning inside. It's so precious. If I pop this open, move this to forward face or rear facing, unlock our latches. This then folds up once, folds up twice. It's held up by gas assisted struts. Put our footrest down, and you've got a really comfortable seat that's in the shade. Speaking of shade, you can also have a sunshade awning that goes over this entire back cockpit. It was in the boat whenever we got here, but I was like, it's brand new, still in the wrapper, and we're just gonna take up a lot of space on the boat, and I decided not to go with it, but yesterday I was wishing we had it. Something else worth mentioning, I think, is the gunnel height. I know one day it was a little rough out in Hawk Channel, and we're coming along and we saw 2 sea turtles. I think they were fighting each other, and I was like, Tucker, you gotta go out and check it out. And so he came back here, and I was still running the boat, and he was safely in the boat, even though it was a little rocky, rolly out there. But just having these high gunnels just makes it safe aboard for everyone. And you have the padding against here, so maybe you are fishing, you know, you'll be fine fishing too, although we didn't do any fishing, but there's also a live well, fishing rod holders, Scotty mounts. If you really wanna go hardcore fishing mode, you can on this boat. Now, if I continue all the way back to the swim platform, this is where we spent a lot of time, whether we were going on and off the paddleboard, on and off the water, on the swim ladder, here on the side. I really like having these rails at the back of the swim platform. You don't see that on a lot of boats. So that just makes it easy, no matter what side you're coming in on, or if you're just hanging around looking down in the water at night at fish or bioluminescence like we saw last night. It's fantastic for that. And then of course, you have the clear pass transom, because Cutwater has their little elbow here that I believe they manufacture themselves and design themselves, and that just allows all the rigging to turn back and tuck into the boat and give you this clear pass back here in front of the Yamahas. And it also provides easy access to the grill. We were cooking up those hot dogs. It worked really well, and we're keeping all the spray and the smells from grilling there on the back of the boat, or either blowing off the boat while you're doing that, because, you know me, I like to keep a boat nice and clean. Oh yeah, and just under here, there's also some storage under here, and also propane tanks that are gonna be running that stovetop in there. Next up, another aspect of the boat that I really liked is all the storage in the deck of the cockpit. There you have 3 big hatches back here. We had a lot of things stored in here, mainly the paddleboard. That was a big thing. I think I'll get all these things open and we'll just go through them. I'll show you what I've got in here. It's kind of interesting. At least I like this stuff. Starting over on the starboard side, here's one of those lithium batteries, 314 amp hours. Then I have this big plastic tote that I brought from home. I've got extra dock lines and, you know, odds and ends in here. Here's a trash bag since we haven't been to a marina in a few days. I've got a boat hook in here and a dive flag. Then in the center mechanical space, this is the deepest one. You have a lot of room in there, but I didn't fill it to the brim because there's a lot of important things down here that you may want access to in the event of an emergency, like bilge pumps, seacocks, strainer for the AC, you know, fuel system, all this stuff. So I don't like to fill this down here just to the brim, or at least not with something that I can't empty out quick, like these 4 fenders. Of course, I do have the shore power cord, and then a milk crate with a spare or stern anchor in it, and a little wash down bucket down here. But as you can see, there's still quite a bit of room. You got the black water tank, hot water heater, and then just forward, you have the fuel filters, fuel tanks, and of course, the strainer for the AC system. And then over on the port side, right now you can see a lot of life jackets and things in here. Got my fins. Of course, that's an AGM battery. This one might be for the bow thruster. And you have a DC to DC charger back here. It actually looks like 2 of them back there. And I've got this tote that's full of water. And then just behind that, you have a starting battery, probably for the port engine. But all the stuff that you see living in there lives in there with the paddleboard when it's deflated and rolled up. And it's packed pretty tight, but you can get it all in there. Oh, and I just tucked the water hose right over here under this. It doesn't look too bad in there. I probably should just put it in this center compartment though. It'll look a lot better.
My element habit. Did you know there's good science behind intentionally drinking electrolytes versus just water for hydration? Sodium is the primary electrolyte lost in sweat, and sweating while drinking plain water just dilutes your blood sodium. Then your symptoms can be headaches, low energy, muscle cramps, even brain fog, and difficulty concentrating or worse. Then people try to recover by drinking water, but that doesn't fix the problem. It only makes sodium dilution worse. This is why I drink the 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium that's found in Element. You should try it. Visit my link, drinklmnt.com/TripSmith, and get a free sample pack with your order. Pick a tasty flavor and try the other free samples. Thank you, Element, for supporting the channel, and thank you all for supporting our sponsors.
In order to gain access to the bow, you've got a couple steps help you up. Grab handle here, another grab handle all the way around the cabin top. And you can see I have a decent amount of space to walk, and I can even walk it without holding on. It's fairly wide. But there are some tow rails down there that are kind of angled up, so they help keep you securely on board. I even had Tucker come up here when we were out at Alligator Reef. It was really rough, and I was trying to get the anchor in, and some dude anchored right over the top of my anchor. So when I was trying to pull and winch to my anchor, I got so close to his boat I had to stop, and I was like, Tucker, you gotta go up there and see what's happening. And finally we got it in, but basically it was really rough, and Tucker made his way up here just fine. I mean, the conditions were a little bit risky, but I felt he's able and capable of doing it, but also he had plenty of things to hold on to, secure footing down here, so I felt comfortable saying, hey buddy, you can make it, get up there and do what you gotta do. And he did what he needed to do. But then once he got up to the bow, of course, I knew this large bow rail was up here and went all the way around, and he was just right here handling the anchor line. Or really, he was just looking down, giving me directions. And so he was up here as the boat was in pretty big waves out there, and just let me know what I needed to know so I could get the anchor in safely. And there is quite a bit of room up here on the bow. You do have these hatches up here, which you don't need to step on. Never do that. But if you want to come up here and lounge and cruise while you're riding nice and slow, you can do that. And of course you can see the FLYBRIDGE up there. We're going there in just a minute. But before we go up there, just a little bit about the bow setup here. You can see there is a bowsprit there, and this centerpiece from the railing will actually come out, and there's a swim ladder under there. So you can extend that maybe if you're bow up to a beach, which we didn't pull the boat up to a beach. There aren't many beaches in the Keys, and also it's a brand new boat. I'm not gonna put any marks on the hull and things like that from the sand. But the windlass is easy to operate. Every time I pulled the anchor up, it came up and set just as it should. And you have the windlass controls up here, like I mentioned, as well as back of the helm, and a small access to the road. And I think this boat's equipped with 50 foot of chain and 150 foot of line. So that was adequate for our trip for sure. All right, let's get up to the FLYBRIDGE. This was Tucker's favorite part of the boat. So you have these steps, kind of steps slash ladder going up here. And once we're up here, of course, we have more of a bird's eye view of everything around us. It was really fun to get up here and run the boat when we were in calm water, although a lot of the times we were in rougher water on this trip. The wind's been kicking up the last week or so. But we did come down the ICW on the inside all the way from Stewart, so that's a lot of bridges and stuff. So when we would get to a low bridge, we'd come up here and hop on the FLYBRIDGE and go right up under the bridge, because some of them we had to take down this antenna and our anchor light. We had to take that down so we could fit under the bridge, but that was a fun thing to do. Running the boat from up here, ergonomics, everything is great. Still have a 12-inch Garmin screen, Yamaha gauge, everything I need up here. Thruster, joystick if you want it, you know, all the good stuff to run efficiently. I will say that how this little piece of glass is angled forward, it deflects quite a bit of wind when you're running, so that was a nice thing. On the port side of the boat, you have another seat, forward facing and rear facing. And something I didn't initially notice about the boat, up under this FLYBRIDGE, you have quite a bit of room up under here. So if I wanted to toss a paddleboard or two up under there, I could without any problem. Or just some lightweight items, you can put them right up under there. And something else about the boat that we didn't utilize is the FLYBRIDGE actually hinges down, and I believe that's for when you're trailering the boat so you can get it below the legal towing height, because this is a big boat. I mean, I think it's like 32 foot overall. It's although 28 foot something actually length of the waterline, but the entire boat is big. So, hey, you get a lot of boat here. I mean, that's obvious. All right, down off the FLYBRIDGE, yeah, there is a solar panel up here and rod holders that you can pull on this little lever, and the rod holders pop down so you can get your rods out easier. And I think the solar panel is really just for maintaining batteries. It's not gonna really be enough to certainly not power the air conditioning and things like that. Oh yeah, something else I forgot to mention in the cockpit, just up under this aft seat, there's a little compartment which has been perfect for holding my dock lines, because I like having dock lines readily available and organized and tucked out of the way, and that is perfect for that. So I like seeing that on the boat. I don't know if that was what it was designed for, but it works really well for it. So overall, we've really enjoyed our time on the Cutwater 288CB command bridge, and I think it's a good boat for what we're doing with it. I mean, yeah, you can certainly do the great loop on it. It's not a blue water cruiser. Every boat is built at a price point, and this boat I think is like $360,000, $370,000. It's actually currently for sale. So I'm really fortunate that they let me use this brand new boat. So if you're looking for a boat that really packs in a lot of luxuries in a small trailerable package, Cutwater is a good answer for that. Granted, it's not a perfect boat, and there are some things that I would probably change about the boat, but for my personal use and things like that. But it's certainly suitable and a safe boat for someone who wants to do some week cruising like we're doing. We're over to the Bahamas, coastal cruising, easy to handle. You can put it on a trailer. You need a pretty good sized truck to pull it, but you can take the boat in and out of the water as you need. I don't think it's something that I'd want to be like, hey babe, let's go to the lake for the day or go to the beach for the day on this big a boat. I'd want to make multiple days of it, at least, if I kept the boat on the trailer all the time. But I think a good thing for this boat would be leave it in a slip during the season, and then after the season, take it out, do all your maintenance, keep the boat clean on the trailer, and then whenever you're ready next time, put it back in the water. But let's say you live in New England or the Northwest and you want to come down to the Florida Keys, you could put this boat on a trailer yourself and pull it down here and spend a week aboard, just like my son and I have. Oh yeah, there's also a wine chiller, a wine cooler right down there. We didn't utilize that, but it's there. That's just one of the extra luxuries that they put on this boat. I think I'd opt for something else personally, but hey, if you want it, you can have it. If you want to see more than just this overview that I've given you, see how the boat actually lives and how it feels and how it adventures, I've been filming this entire 7-day trip, so you can guys go and check that out and really get a feel for the boat. But this video is just meant a good overview of how the boat has felt of the week that we've been living aboard. Appreciate you guys watching. Get out there, and I'll see y'all in the next one.